So in this video, we're going to talk about some commands you use working with files and directories in Linux. So the ls command will give you a list of all the files in the current directory, and pwd, print working directory, will give you the current working directory that you're in. So in home/whuber, I have these files. And I want to make a directory for, let's say, CSC 220. So I'll use the mkdir command. And then to change to that directory, I'll use the cd command. Now if I do ls, there's no files there because I just created this directory. There's no files yet. But if I do pwd, you can see that I'm now in /home/whuber/CSC220. The specific data directory structure you want to use is up to you, but it's always a good idea to make use of directories to keep your files organized somehow. So let's say I create a new directory. I'll call it oops because I don't want that directory. It's there. I can also create a file using the touch command. So when I do ls, I see the oops directory, I see the file hello.c, but I don't want that oops directory. So I'll use the remove_dir command. And now I just have hello.c. If I want to know what's in hello.c, there's nothing. But there was a hello.c command in the code examples. So we'll see that in a moment. If I do ls-a, that gives me all the files in the current directory, and you'll notice there's two hidden files. And they're actually directories, you can tell because they're blue. There's one period, and here's two periods. If I cd to just a single period, that's the current directory. So nothing really happens, but that does come in handy. For example, if we want to execute a command in the current directory, we can say / to indicate use the file in this directory. 2 dots is the parent directory. So cd .. Now I'm in my home directory again, so I have to cd back into CSC 220. And Linux has tab completion. So if I type cs tab, since there's no other files in that or directories in that current directory that start with cs, it'll complete the rest of that name for me to save me some typing. So the copy command lets you copy files, and I can use that in conjunction with the parent directory shortcut. I know that in devel code examples C0, there's a hello.c. So I'll copy that to the current directory, just a single dot. Now if I do an ls, you can see that it's there. And if I do ls-l, I'll get more information about the files, such as who owns it, some permissions, we'll talk about those later, the date it was last modified, and how big it is. I can also touch my file.txt. So for this file, I'll just copy a bunch of stuff about Linux from Wikipedia, just so I have some data there. And if I do ls-l, you can see that there's hello.c and my file.txt. If I compile hello.c, and do ls-l, now you'll see that I have a.out, which is the compiled executable. And I use the -t command on accident, or the -t flag, and you'll notice it's sorted in where the most recent file is first. If I do ls-r, it reverses the order of the output. So ls-ltr gives me a long listing of the files, sorted by time in reverse order, and now the most recent file is on the bottom. Let me check something about my file.txt. So let me edit this real quick. Okay, so I made some edits, and that's just to allow us to do some things with that file. So if I want to see all the contents of my file.txt, I can use the cat command. I can also, since that looks like it took up more than one page, I can use more, and that'll give me the data one page at a time. I can also use less. That'll give me a little more features when I do my paging, and then I can say Q to exit. If I want just the top, I can say head. I can say tail to get the last 10 lines, and head dash a number will give me the first 3 lines. Tail dash a number will give me the last however many lines. If I want to know how many lines are in that file all total, I can use the WC command, which tells me that there's 28 lines, 259 words, and 1,780 characters. If I want to rename my file, I can use the move command. And if I want to do some searching, I can use the grep command. Grep, the string I'm searching for, linux.txt, and you can see it gives me all the lines in that file that have that word in them. If I do grep -n, it'll give me the line number that it appears on. Let's make a copy of hello.c. So I'm going to do cp hello.c to greeting.c. And I'm going to change that. So instead of saying hello world, it's going to say greetings. And there's all the files I have noticed. So hello.c is the oldest. I did ls-ltr. Typically that's the one I use because that's the one that I use by habit. So if I type ls, it's very likely I'm going to type -ltr afterwards without even thinking. So greetings is the most recently updated file. And if I want to know the differences between the two C files, I could do diff hello.c greetings.c, and you'll notice it tells me in the original file I have hello world, in the new file I have greetings. We'll talk more about diff and grep later in the semester, but those are just good for you to at least see. There's a lot of features to both of those. A couple other things about working at the command line. If I do up arrow, I get a history of my commands, and I can go in and change those. So here, I remember I did grep -n. So I'm going to grep for print f in all the C files. I'll use a wildcard, and you can see on line 5 in both C files I have a printf statement.